There exists within every human being a force so powerful that it can either destroy ambition or build empires. Most people spend this force carelessly, without purpose, without direction, and without understanding its true nature. Yet the few who rise above the crowd learn the ancient secret of transformation. They discover how to redirect emotional energy into achievement, influence, wealth, and genius. The energy of desire is not evil. It is not weakness. It is raw power. The same force that drives a man toward physical pleasure can also drive him toward invention, leadership, financial mastery, and greatness. The difference lies entirely in direction. A river uncontrolled floods the land and destroys villages. The same river, disciplined through channels, creates electricity powerful enough to light entire cities. Human emotion operates by the same law. When desire controls the mind, a person becomes a servant to impulse. But when the mind controls desire, that same energy becomes fuel for extraordinary accomplishment. Every great leader, inventor, artist, and builder of wealth has understood this principle consciously or unconsciously. They possessed intensity. They possessed emotional fire. Yet instead of wasting it in distraction, they concentrated it upon one definite purpose. Deep mental concentration is the bridge between desire and riches. The average person allows the mind to wander endlessly, one moment focused, the next moment consumed by fear, pleasure, doubt, entertainment, or confusion. Such a mind produces weakness because scattered thought creates scattered results. But the individual who learns concentration develops a dangerous advantage over the world. When a mind becomes fixed upon a single objective with emotional intensity behind it, unseen powers begin to awaken. Ideas appear unexpectedly. Opportunities become visible. Confidence grows stronger. Decisions become sharper. Persistence becomes natural. The mind begins attracting circumstances equal to its dominant thoughts. Financial genius is not born merely from education. Many educated people remain poor because knowledge without emotional power produces little action. Wealth is born when thought becomes energized by desire and directed through disciplined concentration. This is why some individuals accomplish in 5 years what others fail to achieve in 50. They do not possess or time. They possess more directed energy. There are people who waste their strongest emotions chasing temporary pleasure while their dreams slowly decay in silence. Then there are those rare individuals who pause, reflect, and ask themselves a powerful question. What if I redirected this energy toward building my future? That question changes destinies. When emotional energy is redirected into purpose, a person begins to radiate a different presence. Their voice gains conviction. Their eyes carry certainty. Their actions become deliberate. Others feel their confidence before they even speak. This magnetism cannot be purchased. It is developed internally through self-control and concentrated ambition. Self-mastery is the beginning of financial mastery. The world rewards people who can govern themselves under pressure. The person who cannot control impulses rarely controls wealth for long. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is power organized for a purpose. The greatest fortunes often begin in silence, in moments where an individual sits alone with a burning desire and refuses to allow distraction to weaken that vision. Deep concentration is more than thinking. It is ional absorption into a goal so completely that the subconscious mind accepts it as reality. Once this happens, the mind begins working day and night in search of ways to achieve it. Ideas connect. Intuition strengthens. Persistence increases. Fear weakens. The individual becomes unstoppable because the mind and emotions are no longer fighting each other. They are moving together toward one destination. Never underestimate the force hidden within human desire. History has always belonged to those who mastered inner energy instead of becoming mastered by it. The difference between poverty and fortune often begins with what a person chooses to do with their emotional power. Every desire carries within it the seed of achievement. The question is whether that seed will be wasted or cultivated. Take control of your thoughts. Guard your focus. Direct your emotions toward creation instead of distraction. Feed your mind daily with visions of success, abundance, and purpose. For when emotional power meets disciplined concentration, the ordinary individual begins transforming into a financial genius. Sexual energy is the most powerful creative force placed within human nature. It is far greater after physical attraction alone, for at its core, it is the energy of desire, imagination, emotion, and action combined into one intense force. Every great achievement begins with desire. Every invention, fortune, masterpiece, and empire first existed as an emotional impulse within the mind of someone who refused to remain ordinary. The individual who understands this truth no longer sees this energy as pine cause, but as a source of personal transformation and creative power. Most people allow this energy to escape without direction, and because of this they remain mentally weak, distracted, and uncertain about their future. But the person who learns to redirect emotional intensity toward ambition begins to develop unusual focus and persistence. The same energy that creates strong attraction can also create powerful discipline when attached to a meaningful goal. Suddenly, the mind becomes sharper, ideas arrive more frequently, confidence grows naturally, and the individual develops a burning desire to achieve something greater than temporary pleasure. Creative power is awakened when emotion and imagination work together toward a definite purpose. This is why successful people often possess tremendous passion behind their work. Their emotional energy fuels long hours, fearless decisions, and relentless persistence. They become deeply absorbed in their vision because desire energizes the mind beyond ordinary limits. Without emotional force, most goals remain weak wishes. But when powerful feelings are directed toward achievement, the mind begins operating with intensity, clarity, and determination. The secret is not suppression, but transformation. Suppression creates frustration, while transformation creates greatness. A disciplined individual learns how to channel emotional energy into building wealth, mastering skills, developing leadership, and creating opportunities. Over time, this process changes the entire personality. The voice carries conviction, the eyes reflect certainty, and the presence becomes magnetic. What once existed as uncontrolled desire becomes organized power, capable of producing success far beyond what the average mind believes possible. Deep concentration is the foundation of all great financial achievement. Wealth rarely comes to the person whose mind is scattered among fear, distraction, doubt, and endless confusion. The mind must first learn to hold one clear vision long enough for that vision to grow into reality. Most people think occasionally about success, but very few think about it with sustained emotional intensity. The difference between wishing for riches and attracting them often lies in the power of concentration. A concentrated mind develops the ability to see opportunities invisible to others. While ordinary people become distracted by temporary problems, the focused individual remains mentally fixed upon solutions, possibilities, and long-term rewards. This habit gradually sharpens judgment and strengthens decision-making. Financial vision is not merely the desire for money. It is the ability to mentally picture success so clearly that the subconscious mind begins organizing thoughts, actions, and habits around its achievement. Every fortune begins first as a mental image. Before wealth appears in the physical world, it must exist within the imagination with clarity and certainty. Deep concentration feeds this image daily until it becomes stronger than fear or limitation. The individual repeatedly thinks about the goal, studies it, plans for it, and emotionally connects with it. Over time, the mind stops treating success as a distant fantasy and begins accepting it as an inevitable outcome. Concentration also creates endurance, which is essential for financial success. Many people fail not because they lack talent, but because they lack sustained focus. They become excited for a short time, then abandon their ambitions at the first sign of difficulty. But the person trained in concentration develops unusual persistence. Obstacles no longer destroy momentum because the mind remains fixed upon the larger vision. This mental discipline allows them to continue moving forward while others surrender to discouragement. There is extraordinary power in giving complete attention to one definite purpose. When thoughts are no longer wasted on endless distractions, the mind gathers strength. Ideas become clearer. Intuition grows stronger. Plans become more organized. A person begins to notice patterns, connections, and opportunities that once passed unnoticed. This is why highly successful individuals often appear to possess special instincts. In reality, their concentrated thinking has trained the mind to recognize valuable opportunities faster than the average person. Financial vision is ultimately born from emotionalized concentration. A goal without emotion remains weak, and emotion without direction becomes chaos. But when deep desire is joined with disciplined focus, the mind enters a state of creative power. The individual begins living with certainty instead of confusion. Their actions gain purpose, their decisions gain confidence. Step by step, the vision once held only in the imagination begins transforming into material success. Emotion is the hidden force behind all persistence. A person may possess intelligence, education, and opportunity, yet still fail because there is no emotional fire driving action. The human mind does not continue struggling for long periods through logic alone. It is emotion that gives strength during hardship, courage during uncertainty, and determination during failure. Whenever a goal becomes deeply emotional, persistence naturally increases because the desire to achieve it grows stronger than the desire to quit. Most people abandon their dreams because their goals never become emotionally powerful enough. They may say they want success, wealth, or freedom, but their desire remains weak and temporary. Ari. At the first obstacle, fear and discouragement overpower ambition. But when a person becomes emotionally connected to a purpose, the situation changes completely. That goal begins to dominate thoughts day and night, creating an internal drive that refuses surrender. Emotion gives energy to thought. A cold and lifeless idea rarely produces action, but a thought filled with passion becomes magnetic and powerful. This is why individuals with burning enthusiasm often accomplish extraordinary things, even without perfect conditions. Their emotional intensity keeps them moving, while others become paralyzed by doubt. Persistence is not merely repeating effort, it is maintaining emotional belief in a vision despite temporary defeat. Every great achievement in history was carried forward by individuals who refused to stop when difficulties appeared. Their strength came not from comfort, but from emotional commitment. They believed so deeply in their purpose that obstacles became temporary rather than permanent. Emotion transforms setbacks into lessons and failures into preparation. Without emotional energy, most ambitions collapse under pressure because the mind seeks escape instead of endurance. Fear also loses power in the presence of strong emotion. A person who feels only mild desire becomes easily controlled by criticism, uncertainty, and rejection. But the individual consumed by a burning purpose begins acting with unusual boldness. The emotional pull toward achievement becomes greater than the emotional fear of failure. This shift changes behavior completely. Confidence grows because action replaces hesitation, and persistence becomes a natural habit rather than forced discipline. Emotion also creates resilience after disappointment. Every path toward success contains moments of loss, frustration, and uncertainty. The emotionally weak person interprets these moments as signs to quit, while the emotionally driven individual sees them as part of the journey. Passion keeps the vision alive even when circumstances appear difficult. It allows a person to continue believing in possibilities long after others have lost hope. The most successful individuals often possess extraordinary emotional control. They do not eliminate emotion, they direct it. Anger becomes determination. Desire becomes ambition. Frustration becomes motivation. Instead of allowing emotions to weaken the mind, they transform emotional intensity into productive action. This ability creates unstoppable persistence because emotional energy is continuously redirected toward achievement instead of distraction. Persistence ultimately becomes powerful when emotion and purpose unite together. A person with emotional commitment develops endurance that appears almost limitless. They continue working, learning, improving, and advancing while others surrender to temporary defeat. Over time, this persistence separates the extraordinary from the ordinary. Success rarely belongs to the most talented person alone. It often belongs to the one whose emotional drive refused to die. Mental transformation is the process through which an ordinary mind develops extraordinary power. Every human being possesses hidden abilities far beyond what is normally expressed, yet most people live their entire lives without awakening them. They remain trapped in habits of fear, doubt, distraction, and limitation because they never learn how to transform their thinking. The mind does not become powerful by accident. It becomes powerful through deliberate control, disciplined thought, and emotional direction. Tion. Genius is not merely a matter of intelligence. Many highly intelligent people accomplish very little because their minds lack focus, confidence, and purpose. True genius emerges when thought, emotion, imagination, and persistence begin working together in harmony. When this transformation occurs, the individual no longer thinks like the average person. Their vision expands. Their confidence deepens. Their ability to recognize opportunity increases dramatically. The first stage of mental transformation begins with changing dominant thoughts. The mind gradually becomes whatever it repeatedly dwells upon. Thoughts of fear create weakness, while thoughts of purpose create strength. Most individuals unknowingly feed the mind with negativity, worry, and limitation every day, then wonder why success feels distant. But the person who consciously fills the mind with ambition, faith, and determination begins reshaping their entire mental world. Transformation also requires emotional control. An uncontrolled mind wastes enormous energy reacting to temporary emotions, distractions, and external influences. But when emotions become disciplined and directed toward a clear purpose, the mind gains unusual stability and power. Instead of acting impulsively, the transformed individual begins acting intentionally. Decisions become clearer because emotions no longer dominate reason, they support it.